Right guys, hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today, as you can probably tell from the title, I'm going to be talking to you guys about my diet. Now, as many of you guys already know, I do something called intermittent fasting, which is basically where you don't eat for an extended period of time, in which your body starts using your fat storages for energy instead of the calories that you eat, which is great because that helps you lose fat. Now, the way that I do intermittent fasting is I eat for 8 hours a day, and then the rest of the 16 hours of the day I don't eat, which for me usually takes the form of not eating breakfast and basically eating my last meal around 10 at night and then going to sleep, skipping breakfast, and then starting to eat again at 2, which should be 16 hours after your last meal, and then basically repeating that day after day after day, and basically you just don't eat breakfast and you get a shape like this. Cocky as f***. Now, this diet is what I basically use in order to get in shape for my modeling contracts, for important shoots, or basically just to get in shape for summer, because you're going to be spending a lot of time at the beach. So if you guys want to follow this diet as well, then feel free to do some of your own research and implementing it into your life. Of course, everyone's body is different, so it might not work as well for you as it did for me. I'm not 100% strict with myself with this diet when I'm not modeling, because it simply isn't realistic to keep this diet if you're being 100% strict. 100% strictness would mean that during that 16-hour period, you're not allowed to take in any calories, which would mean no milk in the coffee, which is something that I love and I need in order to get me through the day. And I just don't like black coffee, for example, so I really don't care about those miniature calories that I get from that, which might actually help me keep this diet in the long run. Now, whilst on the topic of coffee, one thing that I really struggled with this diet at the beginning was working out, because I simply had no energy and I just felt hungry all the time, so I couldn't get outside, do workouts. I realized how lazy I've become after a certain amount of fasting. However, if you do want to get that good body, dieting isn't everything and working out isn't everything either, so you need to do a balance of both. This is because if you're doing this diet and not working out, you're actually at a high risk of losing all your muscle mass instead of using the fat storages only, whereas when you're working out, you actually use your fat storages and you maintain your muscle, meaning you keep the muscle sort of at the same level. Now, of course, I also wanted to mention that I'm not a physical therapist, that I don't have a degree in nutrition or personal training or anything like that. So whatever I tell you, please go do your own research as well, since that's very important, not only because you will actually know that what I'm saying is true, cocky as f***, but also because you will start to understand your body better and maybe actually create a diet that works better for you. Now, some tips that I would have for people that would want to try this diet. The first one would be that I would stay strict for the first, I'd say, month with this diet. Basically just do what works for you at the beginning and stick to it, because the most important thing at the beginning is to make this diet a habit and to actually stick to it for a couple of months, because it takes around 3 or 4 months, depending on your body, for the diet to actually show, and so you really need to give it a chance to actually do its work. Now, another tip that I would have for you guys is to drink a lot of water, because water not only helps in flushing out all the shit, because not only does it wash out all the toxins, but it also helps you feel more full when you're actually fasting. So if you get really hungry and you drink a bottle of water, it should get a little bit better. Obviously, it doesn't fix everything, but at least a little bit. Thirdly, it helps with your skin and just general health. Drinking a lot is super healthy. Now, another tip that I would give you guys is to actually adjust the timing so that it fits for you. Some people are super big on their breakfast, like my mom, for example. I didn't really care about breakfast whatsoever since I was about 6. Either way, some people really love their breakfast, so if you're one of those people, then don't skip breakfast, skip dinner instead. Now, the last tip that I have for you guys, which doesn't work for everyone, I know, but it works very, very well for me, that is distracting yourself right before your fast is about to end. Now, the reason why I do that is because if you're fasting for 16 hours, that's great, but if you distract yourself on hour 15, you do a phone call, you go outside, go for a walk, go to the gym, do something completely unrelated to your diet, then you're not going to be thinking about food as much, and then you might actually forget to eat. I know some people that really hate me for saying that I forget to eat sometimes. But it does happen. So yeah, that's one of the tips that I would give you. Maybe don't do that when you're actually starting out with the diet, because it might make things quite difficult. And I've actually had it that I've actually ended on 22 hours of fasting, and then because I'm such a competitive idiot, Because I'm such a competitive idiot, I ended up being like, you've got to make it to 24 hours. And then 24 hours came by and I had to go to a casting. After all that, it was around 28 hours of fasting, which is absolutely mental, and you really shouldn't do that, especially if you're beginning. Now, in contrast to the story that I literally just told you, something that you should really do is listen to your body and make sure that you're staying healthy. And if you're about to faint, then eat something and take a break from the fasting, because you don't want to kill yourself while getting in shape. And as I said already, do your own research. What I'm going to do now is take you guys along with me to the supermarket to show you guys what I kind of buy and what I look for when I'm going to the grocery store. And yes, I usually cook for myself when I'm in my routine. Without further ado, I'm going to take you guys along with me now, and I'll see you guys at the supermarket, I think. Very important to get your veggies. But now obviously if you're dieting, you kind of want to stay away from pasta and carbs and stuff. Last chicken. Also make sure you buy stuff intelligently. If you walk past the chip section, what you don't buy, you can actually eat.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
Aww. Does this look like a computer game, or it's only for me?
Thank you. So that was around 42 leva, which is the same as around 20 euro, which for a few days of food is quite good if you ask me. She wasn't even trying. Also, not many people can say that they got kicked out of a grocery store for filming.
Fuck the police coming straight from the underground.
Pretty stupid.
Checked.
Now, of course, you can go shop at a like really expensive store, but we went to Lidl because it kind of defeats the purpose of buying cheap food for you to cook if you don't actually go to a cheap store to buy that food, you know?
Food.
I haven't been eating all day.
Liar. We ate lunch.
Right, guys. Welcome to Tim's cooking show. Today we're going to be cooking the stuff that we just bought, which is the sweet potatoes, the broccoli, and the chicken. I'm currently in an Airbnb, so I don't have all the pans and pots that I would usually cook with, so excuse me for using this miniature pan in order to cook the chicken, and this to peel sweet potatoes. I have no idea if it's sharp or not, we're going to try. And this massive pot, because we don't have a smaller one, in order to boil the sweet potatoes and the broccoli. Usually I would put the sweet potatoes in the oven because, I don't know, I like it more that way, but since I don't know how the oven works in this Airbnb, I'm going to be boiling them instead. To start with, we're going to be peeling these massive sweet potatoes and washing them. Come to my kitchen.
Sexy.
My god, that is not sharp enough. I'm also very aware that you guys wouldn't be watching me in order to find the best way to do this. So the way that I'm gonna do it is gonna be the laziest way to do this. If you want the best way to do it, you probably watch Gordon Ramsay or something, not me. Fucking potatoes. Oh shit. Right, so I realized that it's too much to make both of the sweet potatoes at once, so I'm going to keep this one for tomorrow. And what we're going to do now is fill this one up with a lot of water so that the potatoes all fit in it, and then you can add some salt or any seasoning that you want. So when cooking in this Airbnb, we have no idea how the oven works, that's why we're not using it. We also don't know which ones of these are the hottest settings. So if this food looks like shit, then it's not fully my fault, okay? Part of it is the Airbnb's fault, which I did choose, so technically it's still mine. Up next, we're going to be cutting the broccoli because I'm still waiting for the water to boil. And for that, you can just kind of like go around it in circles. I saw this on one YouTube video. You can actually also eat this one. It's kind of like an apple. That's not good. I should be swearing that much. If you guys would be interested in seeing more of my lazy recipes, then hit that like button. I still have bacon.
You are hot.
Okay. Then what you do is you put these in there, Once you've put in the sweet potatoes, you want to start a timer for around 10 minutes. And then you add the broccoli, which should take like another 12 minutes. So while the sweet potatoes and the broccoli are already cooking, we can start with the chicken, which we will make in our massive pan. So what we're going to do now is put some oil in here. We don't have olive oil, so we're using sunflower oil, but anything really works. This is the garlic that I bought in the store. Instead of using soy sauce, I'm going to be using teriyaki sauce. I would highly recommend you do it too. If you don't have that, then I don't know. Sucks for you. Let's get started with the chicken. So when your timer goes ding ding ding, you put the broccoli in as carefully as with the sweet potatoes. One trick that I learned from someone on YouTube again is using this water and going like that to see if it goes like, and if it goes, then it's hot enough to put the chicken in. Do you see that? That's what I meant with quite satisfying. Something you might want to do at the beginning when you're not really used to fasting yet is actually starting to cook before you finish your fast, so that once you actually finish, you don't break your fast with something really unhealthy, but instead have a really nicely cooked meal like this one. Now once you're quite sure that your chicken is cooked fully, so that there's no raw chicken on the inside or anything like that, you can slowly start to add the teriyaki sauce and make the entire house stink. That is looking pretty good. This is now done. Probably a bit overcooked actually. Just basically put all of it on this plate. Wow, the silence. Now the last part is just the plating part. Right guys, that was cooking with Tim. This is what we cooked, which is just some sweet potatoes with broccoli and chicken. What I'm gonna do now is watch my favorite show out on the balcony with my beautiful view of Sofia, and I'm gonna be eating my dinner while doing that and hanging out with my girlfriend. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you liked it, leave a like and maybe a comment on the recipe you want me to try. Lifestyle that you guys are going to enjoy because I'm going to produce so much